Congratulations, you had the courage to ask someone special out and you've successfully completed your first task. But now you wonder how things will go ahead. Well, things weren't hard enough till now, but soon they are going to be, as you have to plan about your date. It's likely that you're nervous, awkward, and you're sussing out whether or not you'll need a friend to call with a major emergency in the next 30 minutes. Don't worry if you're confused, we got your back, as in this video we'll tell you things a high-value man should do on his first date. The first and most sacrosanct rule to follow on a first date, in fact all dates, is to be punctual, never be late or keep the other person waiting. Worse still, don't ever stand your date up. Coming late to a date is the perfect recipe for a disastrous start, and remember the old adage, first impression is the last impression. Moreover, when you keep someone waiting, it not only makes the other person angry but also shows or disregard or lack of respect for her time. Wear what's appropriate. If you are paying a lot of attention to what to wear on a date, you are going in the right direction. However, just paying attention is not enough, because you also need to know what's appropriate, and to do that, it's important to take into consideration the place where you are meeting, the time, etc. Also, wearing something flashy or something that makes you ill at ease might not be a good choice. Wear something which makes you comfortable and at the same time is appropriate for the occasion. Prepare for a delightful conversation. We all have social anxiety, and it's the most nerve-wracking part of going on a first date. Along with that, starting a conversation is something that one barely knows. Well, experts have discovered some key things for a perfect conversation. To begin with, you must forget the cheesy pick-up lines to opt for an interesting conversation. The thing is, women tend to rate empty compliments and failed attempts at humor poorly. They are more attracted to dates who spark conversation topics that show they are curious, intelligent, and cultured. When someone shares something about themselves or asks you a question, always reply back by sharing a similar story, or by asking them the same question. It's polite and it keeps the conversation equal. One of the most important things to do before you leave the house and before a date starts, is getting your mind right. While you can't control chemistry, compatibility, or attraction, you can make sure you're mentally ready if they happen. Be cautious of your body language. Taking a deeper look at how you present yourself bleeds into your date in the way you communicate, both verbally and non-verbally. Sometimes it feels out of your control, and how can you be aware of your body language and still act natural? All it takes is catching known negative body language and tweaking it a little. For instance, if you're interested in what your date has to say, don't fold your arms, tilt your head toward them, lean in. These are non-verbal indicators showing your date that you like what they have to say and want to hear more. Along with that, if you want to know if your date is interested in what you're talking about, look for similar behaviors. If their arms are crossed or their feet are facing away from you, you might want to change the subject. Telling someone you're interested isn't enough. You have to make sure your body is saying it too, for them to internalize the message. If you know you want to send a positive vibe, let your body do the talking for you. A lot of people are not good at doing this, being an attentive listener. Sometimes, we get so overwhelmed by our intention to impress someone that we almost end up talking a lot without giving the other person a chance to express his or her opinion. Also, just being a passive listener will not do the trick. You need to be attentive as well. Asking questions and sharing your views after listening to what your date said will show that you are an attentive listener, which would definitely impress the other person. Pay a compliment to your date. It is always a good idea to pay a nice compliment when you meet the person for the first time on a date. However, be careful with your words, because if you overdo a compliment, it might end up sounding like flattery, which might end up doing more harm than good. So, be honest about what you want to say and avoid commenting on anything that's personal or might sound like flirting. End on a good note. There are so many things that might go wrong or against your expectations, but that does not mean you should end the date abruptly or leave the person just after a few minutes citing some very silly reasons. Remember, the date is as much about the other person as it is about you. In case you are very disappointed by how things turned out to be, it does not mean you should make the other person feel sorry about it, right? Always end the date on a good note. Although you never want to have a second date with the same person, do not make false promises like "I will call you," "we will meet soon," etc., in case you have no intention of doing so. So, these were some tips that a high-value man should follow on his first date. We hope you enjoyed it. Let us know in the comments about your thoughts. If you enjoyed this video, do like it and make sure you subscribe to the channel.